Hello, hello, hello. This is Lisa.
This is Ada.
Welcome back to the Opinion Piece. Today we're going to talk about, we're actually going to talk a little bit about how we got to where we are today. So we were just thinking about different things that have happened in our lives that led us to our current direction in our life. And we started talking about God and how, certain things in our lives have influenced. I have no idea. I need more coffee.
Well,
I'm sorry.
we started talking
No
about
idea.
God and just how everything has kind of led us up to this point, and it's almost as if God has just led us here, like by the hand, literally showed us the way, and just everything does happen for a reason, and we believe that God brought us to where we are for a reason.
Absolutely. I hate that word. Sorry, I'm going to stop saying that.
It's fine.
Okay. Anyway, no, seriously, this in and of itself is a God thing. I have no idea how this happened. This was a God thing. Like,
Right.
this is just a prime example. And people ask me, how did you get a podcast? How did this happen? I'm like, I don't know. It was a God thing. He led us here.
Yeah.
You
We
know?
literally had, you came over,
Yep.
we were doing something for your schoolwork,
Yep.
and then we just started talking about current events and the craziness of the world.
And I was like,
next thing you know,
yeah.
you're just like, we
I'm
should
like,
do a podcast.
yeah. And here we are.
And it was like weeks later, we just did it. It was the weirdest thing.
Still don't even know how.
This wasn't planned. Every post you see is like that day. It's like insane.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
But I'm so excited that it did.
I know.
Best thing in my life right now. And I know we said in the beginning, like, this is like our therapy. It really is. I've had a really rough week, so I need this today. And I'm just so grateful to be here with you, Ada.
Same.
Just so happy. Yay.
So I guess we could talk about maybe like a little story of like how we saw God literally present in our lives and what made us change our path or what made it led us to a point. We both kind of have specific stories we had in mind where we just saw it so apparently that like God is there.
Yeah. I have several stories, but I'm going to go with one because actually it kind of led me to you anyway. I love this story.
Tell it.
Okay. So I'm just going to go back to when my children were young and I was, oh my gosh, I was living in like this little, what do they call it, duplex, when it's like a half a house. I felt very unsafe. I was very uncomfortable there. I had two small children and my quote unquote husband was never around and literally just did not care. I could cry and scream and I was just so upset all the time. Like I had no support. I really just had no one except for these two babies. And I didn't have a voice in that relationship at all. Like it didn't matter how upset I was or how much I struggled. It was just like, just be grateful for what you have. And I cried every single day. And we had no money because he made nothing. And I was home with the kids. And what I did, like I had to stay hopeful. I had to. So I would take my little babies every weekend to these little open houses just to look at homes. Like I'm going to have a safe home one day. I'm going to have a safe home, right? So I would go and knowing that I couldn't do anything. And I would even try to call banks and stuff and they're like laughed at me. Didn't want anything to do with me because we made nothing. It took me a long time, but I finally convinced him to get like a quote unquote real job. And I just remember like all weekend long dragging my kids to these things just to try to survive. And there was one day, I'll never forget it. His name is Michael Martone. I will never forget him. And he probably doesn't even know it, but he literally changed my life. And that was like my angel from heaven. I walked into this open house and he wasn't the realtor. I don't even know who the realtor was. And he was like the mortgage guy and he was at the open house or whatever. And we started talking and I was like, oh, I can't do anything anyway. Like no one's going to give me anything. He's like, don't you say that. He goes, I can help you. I can help you. And I'm thinking, what is he talking about? Like, this guy's nuts. He can't help me, right? And he literally convinced me to convince my ex. And I was like, of course, freaking out about that. How am I going to convince him to go into this office? And he was like so angry the whole time, of course, like didn't want to hear anything. Like it was such a struggle for me. It was such a hard thing to do, but he got me into the office. And I would like print houses out, like just again for my own sanity. And I just, when we went into the office, I just happened to have, you know, a couple things or whatever. And I really don't even know how it happened. I still don't believe that it happened. I still can't even believe it. We were actually going to buy, I was going to try to buy another house, but it fell through. And the reason that fell through was because I needed to meet you. And anyway, long story short, I really can't explain what happened, but God gave me this home. Like he gave me this home, this safe place to live. And I met amazing people and my kids got to walk to school. And I just, I really, I can't, I don't even know what to say about it because it's like still such a dream. And I just, you know, when did I move there? 2015, it's 2021. You know, so many things have happened since then, but I couldn't do anything in my life until I had a safe place for me and my children. You know, like
Right.
that was my first step. And I knew even back then, like, okay, I just need a safe place for me and my kids to live. Like that's all I needed to focus on. And then it would focus on the next thing, you know, and then I was going to try to figure out what to do with this, you know. I don't want to say anything
Yeah.
negative about anybody, even whatever, but
Yeah.
it changed my life. It changed my life. I was like, honestly, I don't even know what would have happened to me if
Yeah.
that man did not come into my life and get me and my family a safe place to live. It was life changing. I just have never in my entire life lived in a safe neighborhood that I felt comfortable, you know, walking down the sidewalk with my kids. All of the families that live there, like all like Christian, wonderful. I can't even like, there's so many amazing things that happen there. My whole point is that's where God wanted me. That's the house that God wanted me to have. He got that house for me. You know what I mean? It was all in his timing. He did that for me. And I have a million different reasons why he brought me there, you know?
Yeah.
A million different reasons. And the people that I met and the experiences that I had and the direction that my life went. And, you know, we don't understand everything. We'll never understand everything. But God has a plan. And he knows. Do you know what I mean? And when you see all these things just become like all interconnected and you see where it takes you, it's just like, that's why this is the one he wanted. That's why this, you know, like
Right.
it just brings everything together. And I'm just so incredibly grateful.
It's funny you say the open house stuff because as a kid,
Yeah.
my dad went through an insane divorce with my mom. For a period of time, you know, my dad was like completely shattered and broken, and he
Yeah.
just, you would hear him, you know, talking to himself, having his little fights in his head with my mom. Like I could, as a kid, remember just how much pain he was in.
Yeah.
And it's so weird that you say the open house thing because I guess as a coping mechanism, or because we lived in a very tiny
Yeah.
apartment.
Same.
Me and my two sisters shared a room, a very small room. Like, so as a coping mechanism, I think he took us to open houses every weekend.
Isn't that interesting?
And like we would go and run through the house and be like, this is my room. And like he would sit there and like I just remember him like talking to the realtor. He knew he couldn't afford the
Yeah.
house. We would be in enormous houses. He would just sit there and talk to him while we ran around and like got so excited about the house. And like that's just so funny you say that. Like, and eventually, you know, he ended up marrying a wonderful woman.
Aww.
You know, and they moved into a nice house where we got to build it and we got to all pick
Yay.
our rooms and all that stuff. So it did all come to fruition, but it was just,
Yeah.
it's funny that that kind of thing
Isn't that
is like
weird?
something that just gets you through like those really crazy times.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. I'm like tearing up thinking about
I
it.
know. I can't even believe it. Like, I feel like I connect to your dad. Like, I totally understand what he was doing.
Yeah.
I really do. I really can't tell you the difference. I mean, talking about going from, you know, being with somebody making like $19,000 a year, being on food stamps, trying to figure out how to survive in life. And then now, like, I mean, oh my gosh, I had so many, I was a mess. I had
Yeah.
no self-esteem. I didn't feel like I was ever gonna. I mean, I had a lot of things going on, but I am like, I feel like I'm on top of the world now. You know,
Yeah.
like I found myself. I found my voice. I found my, you know, I don't know. Like
It's amazing. It
you
all
know,
happens for a
who
reason.
knew? It's just a shame that you don't even know your potential, and when you don't know your intelligence, you don't know what you're capable of.
Right.
And then you find it, and it's like, wow, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And that's why one of my passions in life is to help other people find that in themselves, overcome their obstacles and their barriers, or, you know, whatever life, you know, their oppressions, or, you know, a lot of people come from very humble beginnings, and I want to pull that out of them, you know,
Right.
so that they can live their best life. And I know I say that and it's over, you know, but that's the best
My
way
most
I
hated
know how to
phrase.
say it.
No, but I like it.
But like
I
seriously,
I
'cause
like what's behind it.
what's behind it. Like it's substantial. I'm not just saying that. Like, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like I'm dead serious about it. I'm dead serious about it
Yeah.
because it's so important.
Yeah. I mean, thinking back to what led me here, I mean, there's so many things and so many signs that like pointed me into this direction. And like, it's hard to just think of one thing. But,
Yeah.
you know, I grew up after my dad's divorce. I think as another way to cope with it, we joined a church, and like we started going all the time, and my saving grace was church. Like he had us going to youth groups and going on
Love it.
Sundays, and I was always with the youth group, and that saved my life because I could have been in a very different place. But unfortunately, once I started like senior year, I started getting a little bit mixed up with the wrong crowd. I started straying a little bit,
Same.
started doing some things that maybe I shouldn't have been doing. And I will never forget the moment where I was like, I need to move on from this life, because, you know, once I started getting into like some not crazy, like I was definitely still good. I still had that inner voice of like, you know, God and all that stuff. So I never got crazy with it, but I you know, I did things that I shouldn't have done. But I remember this moment, like I was raised in California, so I was in California, and we were doing like a bonfire on the beach, and I had a bunch of my friends around me, which I feel like they weren't friends at the time, you know, those people that peer pressure you and make you do things,
Yeah.
you know, the wrong thing.
Influences is going to be another podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so
The
important.
people you surround yourself
Oh
with.
my goodness.
It can change your entire life.
It'll make or break your life.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
talk about that all day. I can give you tons of examples. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
So like I remember sitting around this fire, and like I even like in that moment I was just looking at all the people around me, and I was like really reflecting on the moment, because I was drinking, like I was, you know, I had a few drinks, like I'm like looking at these people, I'm like, I hardly even know any of these people, like what am I doing here? And the next thing I know, I hear like this youth group next to us and the bonfire next to us, and they're singing, and there's a guy playing the guitar, and he's leading the group, and they're all singing about God.
I got goosebumps.
And I'm like, I'm looking over, and he looks at me, and like he's like, I felt like he was like singing to me, and I was like, I gotta stand up, I gotta
Such
go
a
with
hard
these
thing. I'm
people,
gonna
like
cry. Like,
I can't, because it's like one of those times where you're just like, I need to stand up, I need to go with these people, I'll find my way home, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't drive myself there. I was like, I need to go sit down with these people and find my way out of this mess I was in.
yeah.
And I didn't. So I know this is so stupid, but
It's not stupid. This is not stupid at all. This is amazing. This is powerful.
yeah. So like I stayed with these awful people, you know. Not awful, I shouldn't say that. Everybody was lost. Everybody
Exactly.
didn't know what they were, you know, and like it took me a little while to find it out, but I replayed that moment in my head where I was like, where I did get,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So shortly thereafter, I moved to New Jersey, and I got out of the situations that I was in, and I was like, I need to escape
Yes.
this place in order to start a new life and be the person I was supposed to be.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Very similar. Yeah. That actually put me in a depression when I led the same like senior year, like super depressed and went down the wrong path. And you're right. You still have that in you. Like, what am I doing? What am I doing? I was just so lost and so confused. I had no direction, no nothing. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I didn't know how to create a life for myself. I didn't know what to do. Like college, like I was lost.
Yeah.
I actually ended up like skipping out and moving to Vermont for a year. And I think that changed my whole perspective in life. And when I came back, I was like on a mission. I got a job at a spa. I went back to school for, teaching. But I was a mess and I was lost and depressed and empty. It's such an empty
It
way
is
of
an
life.
empty feeling.
It is the worst when you're
Yeah.
lost and empty and you just don't even know what you're doing. It's like,
Yeah.
it was awful. And I'm just so thankful that I got off that path. And I don't even know, but there's that moment where you're like,
It's just
what
a
the
switch.
heck am I doing here? Like, what am I
Yeah.
doing? This is not what I want for my life. Like, what happened, Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, things happen one way or another. And
Yeah. But I mean, it's like those little moments where you're just like, God is real. Like,
absolutely.
just those moments where I would always be doing something.
Yeah.
And then something like that happened where it
Yeah.
was like, I knew he was right there. He's like, I know he was saying, what
Yeah.
are you doing?
Yeah.
Stop. You know?
And
So
he
it's
loves
like,
you so much. And
yeah.
he does things like that. It's amazing. It's just it really warms my
Yeah.
heart. Like, and I always say, like, I don't know, what do you love me for, God? I'm like a mess, And I'm like, and that's the
Yes.
thing, like, he loves me anyway,
Yeah.
no matter what. And it's just such an amazing feeling to know that no matter what, he loves me anyway.
Can I tell another one real
Are
quick?
you
Really
kidding?
fast, really
Please.
fast. So
love
this
these.
is more like a happy thing, and
Yeah.
this was like I was doing, I do video editing, and I was at a same day edit for a wedding. So that's where you edit the video right there on the spot, and they show the video at the end of the night.
Right.
So I would do those like every weekend, and I love doing it. But there
This-
was a moment where I had this wedding, and it was stressful. Like
Okay.
everything was kind of going wrong. I was like trying to like get hooked up to the internet. Like you had to be like, I don't even know. Everything was kind of like falling apart that
Right.
night. And in the meantime, I also found out that my grandmother's husband, he was not my real grandfather, but somebody who took care of her for a long time,
Right.
that he passed away during this wedding, like while I was there. So I found out he passed away while I was there. So I
Oh
was
my
starting to like,
goodness.
just my heart was breaking for my grandmother. It was this whole thing. And I was like trying to edit this wedding and make this bride and groom's day, And so not that this matters, but the entire wedding they were Asian. I don't know of what descent, but they were all, and that doesn't matter, but everybody there was Asian.
Right.
So I'm like sitting in the cocktail room. Sometimes they would put me in, I'd be editing in the corner while everybody's like partying around me. So I have everybody around me is of one ethnicity.
Yeah.
Okay. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, this black man and this she looks like, I guess, Italian or something. They both come and sit with me at my table. They're, can we sit here? And I'm like, okay, sure. I was like, I'm working, so sorry. Because they would look like they want to talk to me.
Yeah,
and I was
yeah.
like, what is going on? They started talking, and the way they were talking, they were like, oh yeah, no, I was in France, blah, blah, blah. And then the other one's talking, and they didn't sound like they knew each other.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was almost like they came together, sat down, and they did not know each other, the way they were talking. So I'm editing, listening to their conversation, and I'm thinking how weird it is that these random people are sitting here, they don't know each other, and they're sitting with me. So finally, I look up at them, and I'm like, I guess I might have looked worried or stressed, and
Yeah.
they were like, the lady puts her hand out to me, and she's like, I'm like, God, what is wrong with me? I'm like crying. She's just like, it's all gonna be okay. You just take a breath. She's like, everything's gonna work out. She's like, everything's gonna be fine. He's like, yeah, this is gonna be amazing. This night's amazing. You're gonna
Goosebumps
make it
again,
amazing.
goosebumps
And they were giving me this weird pep talk. And I'm looking around thinking where do these people come from? Next thing you know, they were like, it was so nice talking to you. Everything's going to be great, whatever. And then they got up and left. Didn't see them the rest of the night. I'm like, I swear They were angels. I know that sounds so stupid, but like
does not
didn't
sound
see them
stupid.
before, didn't see them after. I was immersed in the wedding and I'm still aware of my story. And I'm like, where did these people come from? It was just the weirdest moment of my life. And of course, they're probably not real angels, but it was almost like these people were like brought to me to tell me everything was going to be all right.
Yeah,
what I
absolutely.
mean? Like-
That's how God works.
It's
That's
just-
how he works. You see?
Yeah.
Like, people don't even realize the little things that happen. Like, even if that is such an amazing story. Like, you needed to hear it. And I love those words. Everything's going to be okay, right?
Yeah.
But even, like, if you're running around and you're trying to get your kids to school and you're late, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, you're freaking out. And then you realize there's an accident right up ahead and you're like, thank God, like he protected me from that. Like
Right.
that's why we're running late today. There are little things that happen every day,
Yeah.
For your protection. Where
Once you open your eyes to it.
that's right.
it's-
You can look at it as really bad, or you can be like, oh, I'm so grateful that he protected me from that.
Yeah.
It kind of all makes sense. So perspective is everything.
Definitely.
It really is.
And I think this time of year, when we're leading up into Christmas and all
Yeah.
that, I think this is a great reminder to see God in everything you do. And
Yeah.
whether you believe or not, I think it's always nice to just kind of have that feeling of comfort that someone's watching over you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's wonderful, actually.
Yeah.
It's hard to forget, and we need to be reminded sometimes because we're go all the time.
Yeah.
And we just need to remember it's hard to remember sometimes to put him first,
Definitely.
right?
All right.
I truly
well,
believe that.
I think that about wraps it up for this episode.
Thank you so much for joining us. We love to have you. If you have I love people's stories. I really do. So if anybody has a story out there where they just felt God's presence or, realized how much they love them or, I don't know, anything you want to share, please don't hesitate to share with us. Hit us up, send us a message, an
We
email.
actually, announcement, we are now on YouTube, so you can watch these if you want.
Yay.
And then
so
also
excited.
Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff. So
Yay. Let us
hit
know.
us up on Instagram, Opinion Piece _podcast, or Facebook, Opinion Piece Podcast.
Thanks for listening. Join us next time.
Bye.
Bye.